Hi everybody, Geraldine Rose here. We've got an old-fashioned still life, a mixed media card for a friendship hop. First off, my apologies to everybody. Our neighbor is out there dismantling his shed next to the mountain forest. So if you hear some chainsawing and some sledgehammering, that's what's going on. But we have to get this voiceover done because I also have to get my card and video done for the video hop that we're having on September 30th. All right, so let's start off. We have the Altenew wicker texture embossing folder again. I am using some of the distress oxides on the one side of it. I'm using photo paper again, everybody. And I'm running that through my die cut machine off to the side. So I've got the texture on it. I've got a little bit of the ink imprinted in the recesses. And what I'm doing is I'm adding other inks over top, but not in every single spot because I'm coming in with oxide sprays and mica sprays and shimmer sprays over top of it now. And I'm also spritzing it with water because wherever that ink color touches first is what is going to pick up on the photo paper because it grabs it and it soaks in. Now, you can see I'm spritzing some more water because I'm going to tilt her back and forth and we're going to get it to run into the crevasses of it. And then I'm grabbing out the Altenew Shimmer Relief one. I think that was platinum. And I'm just going to burnishing some on in some spots over the wet panel. Then we're using some Ranger embossing glazes and just grab out whatever colors you want. I'm going with an autumn theme for this one. I'm sprinkling that as well over top of the wet panel so that the glazes will stick to it, as well as this embossing powder, which is a sparkle one, tapping it from the other side to get them to jump around. We're going to throw some more mica splatters on top because they kind of cook really neat when you use a heat gun over top of them. It's like burning charcoal in your oven, so to speak, but it has the color. So heat gunning it there, and you have to move it really quickly with the photo paper, which we did. So now that that's done around the outside edges, I am using some of the foundry waxes. So that's the bronze and the gold ones, and just putting it in certain spots around the outside. I am going to put this on a matte gold metallic cardstock background, just slightly matted around the outside, and that foundry wax edge is going to show up against it. So for the card proper, we have out the Altenew flowering quinces. I'm picking colors out. You can see I'm putting up it against the stamp to make certain I've got the right fit. I'm also grabbing out the sweet apricots and the sweet treats set. Again, cutting colors out, running it through my Big Shot machine. And then, what was I doing next? I think I was deep. No. I wanted to make the flowering quince like the layered die sets from the first two there. And so I cut out another lighter color over top of it. I am going to fussy cut this out, but it will tie it in with the other ones and cause a unity to be happening across the scene that we've got. So you can see there, this is where, because I've stamped both of them, I'm cutting out the parts that I don't need over it, and this will cause the layering effect. So here we've got them all down on our sticky grip mat, and we are bringing in some of the fresh dye inks to give a bit of shading through areas so that you don't have that same flat tone of whatever cardstock it is that you were using there. Now, I originally wanted to make these peaches, but I thought, apricots are really good for the end of the year. And this person that this is going to, she's another one that does canning and home baking like myself. So I thought this would be very apt for this to go to her. And as well, I thought, I can make it like one of those old-fashioned still lifes that you see as a painting up on the wall. And so that's what I was doing. So with the quince, with the stencil set that you have with that, I was bringing in like a blush tone around the bottom of that quince and then working on the seeds on the inside. So using some darker brown tones there to get the little pips inside of it. And I'm just going to check to make certain. I realized, okay, no, I need to darken up the other part. So I did go back in with the blending brush and add more browns over top. I'm gluing down the top layer now. So we've got the quince pretty much done. Now we're jumping to the linser cookie. And for the inside, the jam part, I cut out some yellow cardstock. We've inserted that with some tape on the back. That is going to get stuck down with ultra sticky tape, so it will hold. We're gluing the cookie together, squashing it down. On the inside of the jam, I am using an alcohol marker to bring some shading in there. And then for the jam itself, I am using the Nouveau Jewel drops. I've got out the orange and the yellow. I did put a couple of drops of the red, the strawberry coulis one in as well, and it does come up with a really good jam-like consistency on the top. For the pips, to have them stand out the same way, again, unity between your elements in the card, I put some glossy accents over it. I only did the darker ones first, and then I went back in once they were dry, and I did the other pips as well too, because you can see it's drying up in the top, and we don't want that bunch of glossy accents to merge together and just turn into a big blob. So with the cookie, you can see that I was assembling it there, referring to the layering guide that's on the back of the package. And I should have brought in the pearl shimmer relief paste here, but I used some of my old the liquid pearls on there to put the icing across the top. So the sweet apricot die set has got some leaves in it, and I wanted to have some for fall tones, so I just cut those out of a white cardstock. I got out my assortment of autumn leaf color fresh dye inks in the background. I'm going to smoosh each color down and turn, and then drag the leaves across. Now in between, I am drying them with my heat gun, and that's how you get the splatters. If you put wet on wet, it blends across. If you put wet on dry, you get the splotches. The green you have to be really careful with because you can cause it to go brown muddy. Doesn't matter with through the leaves. It's autumn, right? That's going to be cool. I also dabbed, as you can see, the apricots in there just to give them a little bit more texture around the layers. And then I smooshed down some of the red ink, and I'm just splattering it with a water brush across the top. It gives really teeny little speckles. You can see it up close. It doesn't really show up in this video. Now, we're still pulling out one of the sentiments from the Flowering Quince set. I did that on some lighter yellow cardstock in greens, and I did along the edge of that stamp again to cause a wee bit of a gradient on it, give it a bit more interest. Die cutting it out with some of my old banner dies here. I've got a darker yellow for behind it that's going to frame it around. You can see just, of course, gluing it together here. Now, because this is going down on a paddle that is very glazed, I wanted to make certain it was going to stick, so I used some of the ultra sticky tape on it as well as the glue. We've got it in spot, and I did the same for the other elements that we've got through the card, except for two of the things that I popped up more with the foam tape, as you can see there. So here we are. We're just assembling everything on the front of the card, setting the Linzer cookie in place, making certain the quince is good. And that is the swirl shortbread style cookie over on the side. Okay, so now I'm going to start working on the inside of the card, and I stamped the I Adore You from the Flowering Quince just inside one of the leaves in a darker green so that it showed up against that color. Now I'm going to put the sentiments in from the Peruvian Lily set for what I wanted to convey with this card. And because this card was for the Friendship Hop, and this is going to an absolutely incredible, lovely friend, I wanted to let her know how much I appreciate. She's the most incredible human being, so tactful, so supportive of everybody, as well as getting her own stuff done. And so I wanted to make certain this one turned out really good for her. So what I'm doing is I'm using greens and yellows and a little bit of highlight of the orange tones to blend the sentiments. That happy birthday was from the Japanese Anemone set. Our custom stamp is going on the back, and I highlighted the heart in both areas of it with just a little bit of the lighter orange. Oh, okay. Yeah. Oops. Oh dear. Whoops. Okay, we had to fix that. I had to redo the entire inside of the card. So the steps were all just repeated. And once I got that done, I'm setting the panel down on the top. I used a strip of paper to hide the banner, and I brought out some of the gold mica ink, and I just did some wee splatters across the top to get that very vintagey look, because this does look like a still life, right? And then it's trying to figure out where I'm going to put my enamel dots down. This takes me forever to decide. Anyway, there we are. They're down, and that is the finished card. And I am happy with how this one turned out because it's unique and it's so warm and it just makes you think of your kitchen hearth and makes me think of this friend. So I'm glad for this. So you all go out, get some crafting done too in your rooms. Be that change you want to see in the world. Thanks for watching and subbing. All right, bye-bye, everybody.